Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox podcast. Now, Logan will be here in a second. Discord is not exactly the best, but we've got a very, very good week of news. And not just the Game Pass stuff that we're going to be talking about later. Like, it's been a very good week for gaming news. Lots of new games coming. A few games have been announced. A few games about to be teased. It's just a good old time to be a gamer. Now, before Logan gets into the show, I'll have to mention this because, I have been asked about this. I watched WrestleMania over the weekend, someone that's trying to get back into wrestling. Let me just tell you, wrestling's different. It is very different now. The ads were egregious at best. And, I did see a lot of people online saying that, hey, maybe you should just watch this after the fact so you can watch it without ads. And it's like, that's a good point. However, I don't like having things spoiled. So you have the ads day one, or you watch it later and have it spoiled. So it goes around. But otherwise, it was a fun time. It wasn't as good as the WrestleManias I used to watch, but it is what it is. Hopefully things can get better, but you can clearly tell that things have changed. I feel like I'm watching the same match every week for Raw and SmackDown, but that's a topic for another day. Now, let's see if Logan's back into the show, and he's still joining. It'll take a minute, but man, what a week for gaming news, because about a day after the show last week, there was the Metro event, which we're going to be talking about in a bit, but as a fan of Metro 2033 last night, and okay, my mic seems low. Yeah, by the way, before the show went live, all of my settings got reset. So if anything's different, if the volume's low, just let me know. I can adjust on the fly. Because, again, it's really annoying when my settings do this. And typically, when I'm about to go live, it's a nightmare when I'm having to try and rush all these settings through. Anyway, it's been a good week. And I think that, if you're a gamer and you're looking for new things to play in this terrible world we live in at the minute, it's going to be an amazing year. Crimson Desert just dropped. It's breaking the charts. Pragmata, we're going to be talking about it a bit. Variety in gaming right now is probably better than it's been in a long time. Single-player games are hot, and I think the single-player games right now are so different than what we've had over the past couple of years. You kind of just have to look at the game industry as a whole and think, wow, things have came a long way. People are doom and gloom in the game industry all the time. But at the minute, things seem really good. Now, before Logan joins, because again, Discord isn't exactly the best, I'll talk about what I've been playing. It's been, I've just realized my gameplay isn't going in the background. There we go. So it's been a busy week for video games. I've been playing a lot of Replaced. Replaced, I have to say, it's probably going to be in the Game of the Year conversation, at least for me. It's spectacular. It really is. It's fun. It's beautiful. The combat is slick. It's fluid. It's basically Batman Arkham Asylum gameplay, but in 2D. And it's got weight to it. The platforming is fun. The soundtrack's amazing. I talk about synthwave all the time. It's my go-to genre at the minute. It's what I listen to relax. And it's incredible. Even the gameplay mechanics, very simple, but they just work. Typically, I feel like over the past several years, whenever a 2.5D or 2D game gets announced, it's typically a Metroidvania. But they didn't do that with this. And I think Metroidvania would have been pretty easy and a safer bet, because this is it's an action adventure game, and it's linear. And you typically don't have a lot of these. So in a world where we have lots of open world games, and we have lots of Metroidvanias, this kind of breaks the mold a little bit and goes, hey, you're going to get a solid single player action adventure with a solid story, and there's no bloat at all. And I feel like some indie games like this, I feel like they would be tempted to put bloat in, and they don't. I'm currently on chapter 6 out of 9, I believe, and it's incredible. It really is. I'm not seeing a lot of talk from game journalists at the minute. I don't necessarily know why. Maybe it's too hard for them because there's no yellow paint, unfortunately. But it's a hell of a game. It really is. I think that when this year's over, if it's not up for Game of the Year in at least the indie games category, something is incredibly wrong. But like I was saying, yeah, most 2.5D games I play at the minute, they do tend to be Metroidvanias. I like Metroidvanias, don't get me wrong. But this game just being a linear action adventure game, and yes, you go right most of the time, but I feel like gaming's really missed this. You know, a linear game where it's just progressing through the story. You unlock new gadgets and new abilities throughout the entire game, and the whole game has this vibe to it. The soundtrack, the way the visuals look, and the cinematic art style, where you typically don't see cinematic games like this. And like the story grips your attention. And I feel like you do get some 2.5D games or 2D games that do have a cinematic look, but not on the level of Replaced. Like, I've posted a few clips of this game, and like even as someone that's played this game, I'm just watching these clips over and over and just thinking like it's just beautiful. They actually trying something different, and I've got to commend the developers because they could have went a safer route. They could have went a safer route with the story, but they didn't. And I don't know why more people aren't talking about this game. It's actually shocking. It's been in development for like 8 years or something, and this 2.5D look it's quite a task to make. You know, every single pixel you see on screen is handmade. It's hand placed, and to do that in 3D in a game like this, it's just impressive. I've also been playing Arc Raiders. I have to say this: the Arc Raiders rats are kind of destroying the game for me. I talked about this last week. It's gotten worse.
Too much cheese.
Yeah, it's just terrible, man. The ratting problem in Arc Raiders has gotten to the point where I've gone from playing this game every day that I've loved to a game that I'm only playing at the minute just so I can keep my current rank. That's it. The season ends on Sunday, and after that, I think I'm done, at least for a while. Even though a new map does drop on the 28th, I believe. I might boot it up once for that, but it's just not fun, you know. Something happened. Something happened a month and a half ago, where a lot of solo players went from being super friendly to just killing each other, and I just don't understand what happened. Now, what happened recently is that in Embark Studios, the developer, they messed this up. For people that do the reset every month or every other month, where basically you can get more skill points and more inventory slots, you can basically get rid of all your gear, start from fresh. Well, they've made it this time, rather than basically gather up a lot of resources and loot to have like a maximum amount of money's worth, you basically get points by killing other players. So they've turned this PvP/PvE game into what feels at the minute just a PvP game. And I don't play that game for that. I don't like that. And it's quite a nightmare at the minute. So like, as much as I love Arc Raiders for its gameplay, its visuals, the story, even the story is like next to non-existent, but the world they've created is so cool. I think I'm going to be done for a while because, man, that game has issues. And the fact that they've lost like 80% of their player base in like a month, that's a problem.
80%?
Yeah, it's like some obscene number. And
Good
so another
grief.
statistic that came out is that 30% of players do PvP, and 30% of players do PvE, and the rest do both, right? So, like, I think you have PvE players like myself, they are putting less time in, So the PvP players are mainly fighting other PvP players. And because of that, Embark are putting in more PvP options, more PvP weapons, and it's not fun anymore. It's not fun. Hopefully things will change, but like I thought that with Marathon being out, the PvP players would go onto that because that is very PvP centric, just the way the game is designed and the way the maps work. But Arc Raiders, it's just not that fun anymore. And I've had over 120 hours, I believe, topside. But outside of that, like I just can't see myself putting any time into this anytime soon, because it's just not fun. What else have I been playing? I've been playing a bunch of different games. I've been playing Warzone and stuff. I've been playing another game. I don't know if I could talk about it yet, but that's that. Logan, it's been a busy week. What have you been playing?
Oh, I've been playing several different things. Wrapping up the Adventure Time expansion for Power Wash Sim 2. Been really enjoying that. I picked up Pragmata, and I figured that'll probably be a topic we'll hop into later, but thoroughly impressed with that. Or should I call it Dad Space?
Yeah.
Am I right? I mean, uh, it's so great. Um, let's see what else. I know there's something I'm forgetting. I don't. Hmm. Oh yeah, Super Meat Boy 3D. I've been playing a bunch of that, and man, like I said, that game is a little bit hits more kind of game. Like, if you value your controllers and your TVs or your devices, play a few matches of it and then just take a break for a while and do something else. Because that game is very frustrating. But it's so worth it. Once you beat a mission, it feels like you beat a boss in Elden Ring. That's what it feels like for beating a mission in that game. Love that. And yeah, just watching a lot of movies, shows. The playoffs are here, so fully enraptured with that basketball stuff. And yeah, all in all, life's good, man. How about you?
Well, outside of the games I was just talking about, I don't. I'm gonna have to check quickly to see if I can talk about this. Give me 1 second.
Oh, you're playing one of those NDA games, huh?
Yeah, nothing big, nothing huge, but just still a game that if it's got an NDA, I can't talk. Okay, I can't talk about it yet. It's nothing like a Gears of War or anything like that. But yeah,
Jamie has Half-Life 3.
yeah, I'm the only person with Half-Life 3. Oh, that's what I have been playing. I've been playing now. I'll have gameplay next week because I've had to reset everything. But I've been playing a game called Ereban Shadow Legacy. Now, that game might sound familiar to a lot of Xbox players because it was actually announced on the Xbox stage about 4 years ago, I think, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a third-person stealth game where you play as an alien, and it's basically the closest thing we have to Splinter Cell. You'd think I'd be talking about this more, but it's been a busy week. But yeah, it's a third-person stealth game, and it's so much fun. And as a Splinter Cell fan in a world where we don't have Splinter Cell, thank you Ubisoft. It's really good, really good. And like it's weird because the stealth space is non-existent at the minute. You have a couple of titles, but it just seems to be a genre that just gets no attention or love at the minute, which is a bit of a shame.
I think
But
people are scared to tackle that genre for some reason.
yeah, maybe, but it's just a shame because like there's so much potential for that genre. Just nobody bothers to make anything. But yeah, it's insanely fun. The art style is beautiful. Again, I'll have gameplay next week. But it's just a really fun game. And I think that's pretty much it. What I've been playing. Now I do plan on getting Crimson Desert probably this next week. Because I've been trying to get through a bunch of different games to review, but man, what a good time to be a gamer. There's just so much to play. You know what? We have like 14 topics this week, and we're going to try and get through them all this time because, again, it's been a very long week. Now, you know what, Logan? You can start off with this one. April ID at Xbox show is coming.
Yeah, apparently this week, they are doing another IGN Presents an ID at Xbox thing. It'll be some indies that we already know about, plus some surprises, and keep your expectations in check. This is not a huge event, but it will be a nice little spotlight for some indies, which frankly the indie industry has been carrying the water for AAA for a while now. Like they're more than taking their weight right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm curious to see the surprise titles. And you know, I give IGN a lot of ish about a lot of different stuff, but I will say they do a good job with these present shows. So I'll be tuning in and expect a good show.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I have a problem with IGN, and we'll be talking about them in a bit, um, I think that the idea Xbox shows do have a bunch of interesting games. Typically, a bunch of those games also come to Game Pass day one as well. So yeah, that should be a good one. Now we actually did get a bunch of new Game Pass games announced today. Again, the web page crashed on me. Let's see if I can get it. My God, nothing is working today. Right? Okay, here we go. My God, I'm all over the place. Right, so Kiln is coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. This is a pottery-based party brawling game. Try and say that 3 times fast. Yeah, that's made by Double Fine. It has that quirky nature by Double Fine. And honestly, to me, the most fun part of the game looks like the actual building of pottery. I'm guessing there's going to be a bunch of achievements tied to that, so that's coming to Game Pass next week. Let's see, we have Aphelion, which is a third-person sci-fi action-adventure. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Next up, we have Little Rocket Lab. If that's a game I think it is, that's a platforming game. That is coming to Xbox Game Pass Premium. We have Soper, the Tale of the Stolen Potato. Okay, that's coming to Xbox Game Pass Premium. Today, Vampire Crawlers came out. That's a spin-off RPG based in the Vampire Survivors universe. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate today. Next up, we have Trepang 2, a game that's been recommended to me on Twitter maybe 5,000 times because apparently...
That game rocks.
Right, I do not... As much as I pay attention to the gaming space, I don't know what the hell Trepang is.
Okay, basically it is an indie studio's attempt at Fear and Black and games from that era, like mix the vibes. Like it is trippy, like crazy conspiracies, super powered soldier guy, like shadowy government organizations, like go in there, guns blazing, every weapon feels really good and weighty and different, and there's also like an awesome sword because why wouldn't there be? And you can go stealth, you can go just full bore, just charge in there like a heat-seeking death missile. It is a ton of fun, and I can't speak highly enough of it.
Yeah, basically every single time I post footage of Titanfall 2 on Twitter, I get basically one reply every single time telling me to play Trepang 2. And I'm like, all I can think is, what the hell's this Trepang thing? I've never heard of it. Well, now I clearly have to give it a try.
It actually does scratch that itch.
Oh, well, if that's definitely the case, yeah, I'll download that. Because my God, sci-fi first-person shooters, there just aren't too many. Let's see, next up we have Sledding Game. You can imagine what that game's about. You sled in that game with other players. And I think you can also do solo if you want. Next up we have Terra Tech Legion. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and finally Final Fantasy V. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Premium. So pretty good month. I think the big one is probably Aphelion, which I believe that comes out next week. And yeah, third-person sci-fi action adventure with horror elements. Looks super cool. It's been in development for such a long time, and if I remember correctly, that's made by Dontnod, who originally made Life is Strange. So very different game for them, and it looks really good. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I might as well because about 2 weeks ago, Logan might remember this. I had a borderline breakdown live because of the Mass Effect TV show. Where it was reported that basically Amazon was mandating that the series would be made for non-video game fans. And, me being me, I clearly did the responsible adult thing and, lost my absolute will to live. Because, honestly, that was nightmare material for me, thinking about what are they going to do to the Mass Effect TV show. We live in an age now where there's so many video game adaptations. There's so many coming out. Mortal Kombat comes out next month, I think. Then there's Street Fighter later in the year. By the way, Logan, did you watch the advert or the trailer for that Street Fighter movie?
No, I have not, but I wouldn't have high expectations, would be my guess.
Honestly, I think it looks pretty good.
Oh, okay. I remember the old one was something else.
Yeah, right. Do you want? Okay, this is. I might get clipped for this. Honest truth, I know that original Street Fighter movie is bad. I enjoy it.
Hey, it's okay. You and I both like Resident Evil 0.
Yeah,
we all have our weaknesses.
There's just so much charm to that '90s Street Fighter movie. Like you have Jean-Claude Van Damme playing an American Marine.
Yeah.
Like the accent does not work, Then you have Kylie Minogue as Cammy, which is strange casting, but can't complain. Zangief kind of look like Zangief. Basically, you could tell with that film in the 90s, they just kind of picked people that sort of resembled the characters and then just wrote a weird plot that kind of didn't make sense. Basically, the plot for that film is essentially a bad Bond movie.
Yeah.
Guy wants to start his own country with his own currency. That's literally the plot of that movie. And yeah, if I remember correctly, that Street Fighter movie had a video game based on it, and it was called Street Fighter the Movie, the video game. That's some weird Inception level stuff right there. But yeah, I have a soft spot for that film. It's not the best film, but speaking of another video game adaptation which I watched recently, Mortal Kombat 95. I love that film. I know it's a bit cheesy, but that's where we got the Mortal Kombat theme. Like, that for me is probably one of the best video game adaptations. But yeah, so the Mass Effect show, I basically had a panic attack and basically a nervous breakdown because I was thinking this is going to be the worst. This is going to be Star Trek Academy bad. Well, anyway, it came out last night that the showrunner for the new series basically debunked it and said that's not even the case. So, if it's anything like the Fallout show, at least, hopefully, we should be getting some good content. Because, my God, Mass Effect fans have absolutely nothing to go off right now, and at least we're getting a TV show. That's something, I guess. Logan, what do you think? Because at least it's going to be made for, well, at least by a Mass Effect fan that he probably knows what he's doing.
Well, that certainly makes me feel a lot better because when I start seeing phrases like made for modern audiences or dumb it down to appeal to non-gamers, I get really concerned. So, yeah, I'm really happy to hear that, and I will look forward to that. But be a little cautious because Mass Effect is just itself in a weird place right now,
Yeah.
but hope for the best.
Do you know what's sad about Mass Effect, right? Yeah, this is the part of the podcast where I ramble about Mass Effect for some reason. Um, I'm more excited about Exodus and the Expanse game than I am for Mass Effect. Like, how
Yeah,
sad's
well,
that?
at least we've seen some stuff from them, and they seem competent and seem like they're cooking.
Yeah. And you know, some character designs did come out from the Expanse video game where the characters actually look cool. The characters very much resemble, you know, a bunch of like side characters you kind of saw in the series. The funny thing is, Logan, you probably wouldn't have seen this. I get a bunch of replies on Twitter daily that I just kind of shake my head at. And one of them was that I posted some screenshots of the new Expanse game, and I had two replies saying, "Oh, this is the design of all the ships and helmets of all the characters is copying Starfield," and it's the Expanse game, where it's based on
Yeah,
the
I
TV
mean,
series.
there's only so many ways you can make a space helmet, my guy.
Yeah, like I get it. Some people that maybe haven't seen the Expanse might see the designs of the ships and the helmets and think, oh, it's kind of like Starfield. No, it's like the Expanse. Like, for the love of God, gamers, please watch that Expanse show. I'm getting sick of glazing the hell out of that show because it is amazing. But like, watch it and then be even as hyped for the show as I am for the game. But yeah, that's the Mass Effect TV show. At least they have competent people making it because honestly, I don't think I can take another bad sci-fi TV show. You know, for people that are listening right now, I know some people have watched or at least tried to watch Star Trek Academy, Starfleet Academy. Ooh, that is rough. If you want to watch One Tree Hill, watch One Tree Hill. Like, don't watch the sci-fi knockoff. But yeah, that's Mass Effect. Let's see what we have next. Okay, so the BAFTA Game Awards happened over the weekend, and shocker to no one, Expedition 33 won Game of the Year. I think that was a shoe-in for a win. Like, that thing's won basically everything, And I think that if you're a fan of Expedition 33, like, you go into the BAFTA Game Awards knowing that was going to win basically everything. Jennifer English won Best Actress, I believe. I mean, of course, she was going to win. Jennifer English is probably going to win every award like that for the next couple of years because she just seems to be in a lot of big games. So if she's in a game, there's a chance that that's going to be up for Game of the Year. No Man's Sky won Best Ongoing Game. I think you can't disagree with that. Like, that game has came a long way since it was first announced. Best multiplayer game, Ark Raiders. Best narrative, I believe, was also Expedition 33. Overall, pretty decent wins. I can't complain. Logan, I'm guessing you didn't watch the BAFTA Game Awards because I think in your time that would have been about 2 p.m.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it, but I saw some of the highlights on Twitter later, and I know South of Midnight actually picked up an award or two as well for new IP and
Yeah.
innovation and art and stuff. So, congrats to them. Like, say what you will about like maybe length of game or some of the combat mechanics, they made a really interesting and good narrative and world and characters, and they should be proud of it. And they have something cooking there if they want to go further with that universe.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed that game. The only thing I didn't like was the dodge mechanic.
Oh yeah, the dodge was a bit, dodgy. Not even pun intended. It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
But other than that, great story. Look, I love that art style. The Spider-Verse art style. That works. But yeah, the BAFTA Game Awards is always a fun show. And weirdly enough, yeah, actually we have the first super chat today by Nick W. Thank you very much for the 490s. How you guys doing? Game Pass Ultimate went down in price. Well, that's a very big topic later on the show because there's a lot of different opinions on that game. Oh, sorry, the Game Pass price thing. Mine are positive, Logan's positive, but I want to talk about the whole thing in a bit. That's going to be a long topic. But long story short, before we get into it, I think it's good news for gamers. It really is. I think that Game Pass anything going down in price, in my opinion, is a good thing. We live in a world where hardware goes up in price. I think it's the Lenovo Legion Go went up like $1,000 or something, which is horrendous. That's absurd. But like anything going down in price, in my opinion, is a good thing. But thank you for the $4.99, Nick. We're both doing good. Honestly, especially with what's going on in the UK at the minute, I love the fact that we have good video game stuff to talk about. Because I'll cry myself to sleep at night. But yeah, cool video game stuff. Again, we're going to be talking about the Game Pass thing in a bit. But yeah, oh my god. Oh yeah, the BAFTA thing. I recommend people watch the BAFTA Game Awards if you want to watch a Game Awards show that isn't filled with ads. Right? I may give Jeff Keighley a lot of crap. I do think the Game Awards is a very big production. It's entertaining. But you do watch for the game trailers. But the BAFTA Game Awards, it is purely a video game award show. The only thing they did differently this year is that's where they actually showed off the intro sequence for 007 First Light featuring Lana Del Rey. Really good song. And it does have a very, Bond-centric opening, so they absolutely nailed the opening, and it's something they've never really premiered anything at the BAFTA Game Awards, so maybe we'll see more things like that in the future, but then again, it is Bond and it is the UK, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, he's British, so
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Lana Del Rey became popular because of a song about video games, and she's always wanted to do a Bond theme. So there you go. But yeah, BAFTA Game Awards, highly entertaining. I think people should watch. If you just want to see game developers get awarded on stage, no Muppets at all. I'll never understand the Muppet thing, Jeff Keighley. I don't get it. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. I think, maybe. But yeah, BAFTA Game Awards, really entertaining. Let's see what we got next. My God. Okay, so after the show last week, they showed off Metro 2039. Now, this thing was it was kind of disappointing to some people because this is a new format for their shows to show off new games called Xbox First Look. And I think people thought we were going to get a deep dive into these games. And we saw, the developers were talking about it for about 15 minutes. They showed off some concept art, but then they showed us about 90 seconds of gameplay. And let me tell you, as a massive fan of Metro Exodus, that trailer looks amazing. And for people that haven't played Metro Exodus, it's basically one of the most impressive next-gen upgrades we have right now, where on Series X, it's 4K 60 with ray tracing. On Series S, it's like 1080p 60 with ray tracing. The particle effects, the detail in the environment. Overall, the way the enemies move, everything about that game is super impressive. And they're going all out with ray tracing for the new game. And spectacular looking. Even though I clearly cover gaming, I know a lot about video games and just all that stuff, I still get a little bit giddy and excited when I see an enemy jump on a wall in a game. It's like, it's not just a static enemy design walking around over and around. It's like they're actually interacting with the environment. And I love seeing that stuff in video games. And personally, I don't think we see enough. But yeah, Logan, did you watch that gameplay snippet and what do you think?
I'm looking forward to the new Metro. I've always really liked the series. It's very, there's Fallout on one end of the spectrum of post-apocalyptic takes, and like there's some really dark stuff in Fallout, but also some really hilarious stuff. And Metro just feels way more dark and sinister and just more struggle to survive kind of vibes. And I'm looking forward to it. I think the show is good, but this will probably tie into one of our topics later. But please, Xbox, when you do a show just Xbox logos. Like,
Yeah.
people will know the game's going elsewhere anyway. It's not a strength look to do that, and I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, we will be talking about the, happy-go-lucky, wavy gravy, people, when it comes to that stuff. The logo thing, yeah, bit annoying. But other than that, I thought that the game looked great. And what surprised me the most is that I got the impression, and I could be wrong about this, I got the impression that they're going back to a linear game design.
Hmm.
Because 1 and 2, or well, 2033 and Last Light, those two games were linear as hell, but it worked for those games. But in Exodus, it goes open world, and like I loved Exodus. I don't really have any complaints about Exodus, but like just that's the impression I got from that trailer, and that's coming this winter, which is nice. That game's gonna blow people away when they see it. Like Exodus was made for an Xbox One, and it still looked like that, And this is going to be made for series consoles, which is incredible. So like, if people think we haven't seen like the best, or if people think they have seen the best of what we can get out of these consoles yet, we aren't even close. It's just one of the reasons why I think next gen should be pushed a couple of years. But that's just me. Let's see what we got next, because again, we still have like 12 topics. So, Crimson Desert reaches 5 million sales. This game is tearing the charts up, and I'm so happy to see a single player game do well. We talk about online slop all the time, and how like it all seems to be the same stuff. We have these online hero shooters. Extraction games are popping off, especially on consoles. So we have like 50 new games announced all the time in the extraction genre. And then you have Crimson Desert. And Crimson Desert, for the longest time, people thought was a fake game. Every time I posted about it, people would say it's a fake game. Why would an MMO developer be making something single player? And it comes out and it shatters records. People love this thing. You have what is essentially kind of a brand new IP, introducing millions of players to this world, and like even like a month after launch, and people are still finding all these interesting secrets, like certain puzzles and stuff, and like people have put like hundreds of hours into this game, and not even been to every region, right? Because it is a continent-sized map. So like I'm super happy for the developers, and like I've been talking about this game since 2019. The only reason I haven't gotten to it yet is because I can't justify starting a massive open world game when I have like 10 other games going on. And when I play that game, I'm gonna play that nonstop. But I'm just happy to see a game do so well, especially in the single player space. Logan, I know you haven't got to it yet, but yeah, 5 million sales in a couple of weeks or a month. That's impressive for a game like this.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't gotten to it, but I'm really glad Crimson Desert is doing so well. And there's so much content coming to it, updates, tweaks to gameplay, a lot of fun social interactions I see online from people discovering random Easter eggs or quirks you can use in the game. And I'm just glad it's doing well and that it gives people something there isn't a lot of at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, as much as I might talk about, live services and all that stuff, but like those games almost always get shut down. But when I see a game like this do so well out the gate, at least this is the way I read it anyway. It tells me that there are millions of people out there that want more big single player games, which will hopefully send a message to other publishers to stop making live service free to play slop. Right? Give us more single player games because, like, I don't know the US price, but in the UK, Crimson Desert is £54. Right? That is so good right now, considering a lot of other developers are charging 70, and $70 is about $92. Yeah, sorry, £72 is $92. I'm all over the place today. So like the fact that it's costing less than a lot of AAA games and it has more content, yeah, yes, please, we need more of that. But yeah, just happy to see. And by the way, while we're talking about game sales, Pragmata. Pragmata released, I believe, last Thursday, and it's already sold 1 million copies. Like, wow. And this is a brand new Capcom IP. It was announced 4 years ago. Oh, sorry, 5 years ago. And they went dark. They didn't talk about the game basically at all. They would only come out of the woodwork once every 6 months to say the game's going to get delayed. And they didn't really talk about the game up until a couple of months ago, where they showed off more gameplay and they put out a demo. And for people that are interested, play that demo. You will love that hacking mechanic. Anyway, they come out and it blows people away. It's reviewed really well. Gamers love it. You know, journalists love it, which is shocking because when I played it, I didn't see any yellow paint. It's doing really well, and I love the fact that we have a brand new sci-fi IP that is taking the world by storm. Like this game, honestly, look, I've been saying for the longest time that we need more sci-fi games, more games like this. I didn't think Pragmata did have a good chance of doing that well, because like if you look at that game, you think, oh, it's an escort mission type of game. This weird hacking mechanic's going to put people off, even if I do think it's a good mechanic. But I think people would look at it and think it's like awkward. I thought it would be a hard sell for people, but it selling 1 million copies in just a few days tells me that gamers want something different. Like, it's not the same game that people have played before. It's not a safe game by any means, and it's Capcom taking a chance on something that's different. And it turns out the creative director actually worked on things like Metal Gear Rising. So that kind of makes sense, especially the design of the robots and stuff. But yeah, so happy to see a new IP do well. Yeah, Capcom, honestly, Capcom is probably one of the best publishers at the minute. You know, they surprised everyone with Resident Evil 9. That broke records. And I think Capcom has another couple of games coming out this year as well. So, like, oh yeah, they have Onimusha Way of the Sword coming out in a couple of months as well. So like Capcom, absolutely nailing it. New IP, sequels, remakes, reboots. You know, even bringing back like smaller indie style games. Like, yeah, they're killing it. Logan, what do you think? Because you haven't played Pragmata yet, but I know you want to get to it.
Yeah, I just picked it up. I'm one of the 1 million in 2 days, and I'm looking forward to playing it. Like all the vibes I've seen and everything is like super wholesome and super fun and sci-fi and 360 in the best way possible. Like everybody's calling it dad space, and it really does
Yeah,
seem like that. And I love that. And I think there needs to be more like joy in
yeah,
some of these stories. And like obviously you can tackle heavy themes and make emotional connections, where there's tragedy, but there's also good wholesome, just things feel good and there's some hope in the world. It felt like for a while almost every bloody game was like, man, life is just awful outside of this game,
yeah,
and now in this game this is awful. It's like constant negativity. So, and I'm not even like a sunshine and rainbows, fuzzy kittens kind of guy, but I just it had gotten ridiculous. So I'm happy this is doing well. And yeah, like my goodness, like the role Capcom is on is insane. Like we'd probably have to go back a decade for a publisher to have 2 games within a month or 2 in the first half of a year that are game of the year worthy in the same just span. Like Resident Evil 9, Requiem, and Pragmata will both be there on the list at the Game Awards and at the other game shows. And it sounds like Pragmata is officially a successful new IP. If you sell 1 million in 2 days, you're doing something pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm just so glad that the delays didn't hurt it. It helped it. Capcom was patient and let them cook, and they had a new idea. They took risks, and lo and behold, they nailed it. And I'm really happy. Can't wait to dive in. Congratulations to Capcom and new IPs and experiences. Looking forward to Onimusha as well later this year. But yeah, my goodness, just get out of the way of Capcom because they're a full train locomotive of hype right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll mention this quickly. So, I was going to say Monster Hunter. Capcom, a little over a decade ago, almost went bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came out with a little game called Resident Evil 7 and Monster Hunter Worlds. Like, those two games saved Capcom.
How far in 7 have you gotten, by the way, Jeremy?
I think I'm about halfway.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I'm surprised I didn't even talk about that, by the way.
I was like, because I saw you baby stepping through it on
Yeah.
Twitter, like
Yeah.
ever so often. You're like, "Hey, I made it this far. I think it'll get better now." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet summer child, you have no idea."
Yeah, I completely forgot, but yeah, I am really enjoying that game. I got the flamethrower. I fought the old
Can't
woman in the
help.
house that turned into a weird spider thing. But I needed to take a little break from it because I was about to have a panic attack.
Yeah, she's pretty awful. I can't
Yeah,
remember
but
Rosie something or yeah.
I can't remember. But like she turns into a spider thing. But I'm really enjoying that game. Honestly, I thought I wasn't gonna like the first person nature of it. And I love it. I love the different perspective for a Resident Evil game. 7 is terrifying. Like it's so scary. Because like my limit for a horror game is Alien Isolation. That game I thought was terrifying. That was 33 and a half hours of me slowly walking to the next locker I can hide in, right? But in Resident Evil 7 Remake, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, it's arguably scarier than Alien Isolation. Everything's disgusting in that game. And yeah, I will push on. But the fact that I've got about halfway through tells me I can actually do it. Because I'm not having to stress as much as I thought I was going to. But yeah, I'm going to try and finish by the next episode of the podcast. But really enjoying it. But like
Good on you, Jeremy.
So I say that again.
I'm saying good on you.
Yeah. Granted, I told my friend who's obsessed with Resident Evil earlier in the year. It's like one of my New Year's resolutions is to play the Resident Evil games, the new ones. And as I was saying it, I was thinking, am I lying right now? Because I was gonna cave, and just like give up. But I do like the quality of them, and just like it's just a really creepy atmosphere. But yeah, I'll try and finish it by the next week's podcast. But that game saved Capcom, and they invest a lot of money into new games now, and Pragmata's a testament to that. It's a risky game, and I really hope publishers are looking at this like a risky sci-fi third-person game with a hacking mechanic during shooting. Sells 1 million copies in a couple of days. Like that's great. Maybe the demo did actually sell people, because before the game came out and before the demo went public, I was thinking like, the hacking mini game while in combat looks cool, but I was thinking it might be a bit much. But once you play it, I'm not even kidding, it clicks within like 3 seconds. It's such a well thought out way to actually mix up third person gunplay. and the people at Capcom are bloody geniuses. They clearly knew what they were doing. You didn't play the demo, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Honestly, hacking mini game while shooting sounds weird, but they nailed it. They
Yeah,
absolutely
it
nailed it.
sounds like almost like both sides of your brain. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out this part, but while also doing this, but it works, I guess.
Yeah, it so works. And as you were saying before, it's a wholesome game. We don't get stuff like that in the AAA space. Everything is bleak, and yeah, I don't like the the whole kumbaya thing for everything. But in the gaming space, in like plots and stuff, it is all kind of bleak a lot of the time. And to have this like sort of like father figure with this like little girl, I think that's really appealing to people. Like my best friend who is basically like him and his girlfriend are a cat parents, right? And even he's
Mhm.
like, oh, you know what? This makes me want to have a kid. Like because people are like playing that kind of figure, and I think that like over the years, like there have been similar sort of characters, like the father figures and stuff. But yeah, I think it's just really vibing well with people at the minute. And again, I'm always happy to see a new sci-fi IP do really well. And Capcom, I do think this might open up the door for Capcom to bring back Lost Planet.
That would be a good choice. There's a lot of potential with that IP.
Yeah. Like they could do anything with that IP. I will always, IP beg Dino Crisis. like, like,
To me, that is the biggest no-brainer dormant IP out there, and that includes some other no-brainers. Like it's dinosaurs in a Resident Evil engine. Who doesn't want that?
yeah. I, honestly, I know, like, so I'm signed up to like Capcom's newsletter and stuff. So like, I do get their surveys,
Hmm.
and Dino Crisis is always on there. Right? Every single time. You have Mega Man and Dino Crisis, and like we will probably get a big AAA, big budget Mega Man game at some point. But Dino Crisis just seems like, wouldn't you just do Resident? That's all it is. That's all Dino Crisis is. It's a Resident Evil game, but instead of zombies, you have dinosaurs. They could do it so easily, but I think this game doing so well will open up the door for them to try some freaky stuff out like that. But yeah, so happy for Capcom.
What if Dino Crisis is the next remake after they finish the Resident Evils that they're doing, like 0 and 1, which is supposedly the next one after okay, Code Veronica and
Yeah,
then 0 then 1. Like after those, what if the next one instead of 5 it and 6 is like Dino Crisis?
I'd lose my marbles more so than I already have lost them. Because I adored Dino Crisis. Um,
Mhm.
Again, it's just Resident Evil but with dinosaurs, and like even the third game, right? I know the third game, no matter what, will ever get remade, but the fact that they made that game the way they did, you have number one, it's a horror game. Number two, horror game. Number three, sci-fi action adventure set in space.
Mhm.
That's like you have a T-Rex on a space station. Like, what could possibly go wrong? Um, that would actually be a good plot for a B movie. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, and that was actually on Xbox,
yeah,
and I think an OG Xbox exclusive.
yep,
Like, can we at least, Capcom, please work something out with Jason, BC Team, whatever, and get Dino Crisis 3 playable on there? I know it's not, a masterpiece by any means, but let us have our B movie, early 2000s sci fi romp with dinosaurs and parasites and spaceships. Come on.
yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna make a bold prediction. Uh, I bet it's not backwards compatible because since it's an early 2000s game, I bet there's like a licensed song in there.
Oh yeah, there's probably some Linkin Park
Yeah,
or something in there, and yeah.
like if you had an early 2000s video game that was an action game, you're probably gonna have some Linkin Park in there, more than likely. But who knows? Maybe Capcom can bring it back in the collection with new music or something. But I mean, yeah, Dino Crisis in Outer Space. It shouldn't have worked, but who cares? Dinosaurs in space, perfect. But yeah, I just hope Capcom tries more freaky things. In fact, Capcom has only really done one game that I haven't really liked, and it was that multiplayer dinosaur shooter. I can't even remember what it was called. Exomecha.
Oh, I was more mad because of the Regina
Yeah,
fake out in it. That made me dislike the game from the jump.
yeah. That was such a bait and switch.
That was a punk move. I love Capcom, but that was doing your fans dirty.
Yeah. So done on purpose as well. Like, the camera zoomed in on her face as well. It's like, that looked exactly like Regina. Hairstyle and everything. But other than that, I can't really complain. Let's see what we got next. You know what? This is going to be a fun topic because over the weekend, possibly one of the worst video game reviews of all time drops. And it's marvelous. I'm not even kidding. IGN reviewed Mouse PI for Hire. And in that game, you play as a mouse in a noir-esque world where you play as a detective in a first-person shooter. And one of the negatives for this game by IGN is too much cheese. Yeah. Okay, Exoprimal, that was it. Great gameplay, just not my type of thing. But yeah, IGN, too much cheese. They said that it didn't have deep noir elements, so basically they were expecting LA Noir in a boomer shooter where you play as a mouse. And they've been torn to shreds. Absolutely torn to shreds about this game. Even KFC were dunking on IGN.
It's finger licking good, man.
Yeah. Thankfully, the Mouse PI for Hire devs took it on the chin and they made a joke about it. Too much cheese. Everyone's tearing IGN a new one. In fact, in the past 48 hours since I posted about it, I've had maybe one reply where one person was like, "How can you be dissing IGN's own opinions and stuff?" But it's IGN. I'm always going to tell them a new one. I just think it's hilarious how they manage to put out the worst review every year. Every year. They've had too much air button in the past, too much water with Pokemon Ruby. What else? Any number of things. They just mess up. I think they've gave a Zelda game like a bad score for something stupid as well.
Much water, Pokemon Ruby. I will always remember that.
Yeah, like what a thing to complain about. And by the way, I hope IGN know this. The next Pokemon game is going to feature a lot of water.
Oh, they dunked on IGN when IGN posted about it.
Yeah.
They said too much water.
Yeah. And I think IGN, look, they get dunked on so much because they are, unfortunately, the biggest game media outlet on Earth, right? They own a bunch of different game media outlet companies as well, which is weird if you think about it. And like the fact that they like I've dunked on them in the past where they've announced like games have been announced on an Xbox showcase, right? And they'll post about it and leave Xbox out of the post. Right? And every time someone from IGN has replied to me, they said, "Oh, it was a database error." Bull. Absolute bull. Like, every time. They did it 7 times in one day. I think that was like 2 years ago. But they get dunked on because all eyes are on them in the game and journalism space. And they mess up all the time. All the time. They put out clickbait all the time. They arguably
You know what they say about IGN?
Yeah, you can't spell ignorant without IGN. But it's so perfect. It's so on the nose that it just works. And I don't know how, like they clearly had someone, right, who smells their own farts, review a game about a mouse set in the 1920s noir world, and that person legitimately thought that, hey, I'm going to go into this expecting Schindler's List. You know, like come on, man. I think it might have been IGN where they had someone that didn't like fighting games review Mortal Kombat. I'm pretty sure that was IGN. I'll have to check, but man, what a waste of a place. Like, hell, that like, if I remember correctly, isn't IGN the place where they have an Xbox centric podcast where they don't even talk about Xbox that much in a positive manner relating to anything? You know how Rise of the Tomb Raider being exclusive to Xbox for a year was bad, but Final Fantasy exclusive to PlayStation was amazing. You know,
Oh yes, led by, in their words, the illustrious DMC.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, absolute clown show over there. I'll not mention names, but yeah, people can get what I'm talking about. But like, it's a terrible podcast. Like by the way, I'm sorry if I'm ranting, but like, IGN's Nintendo podcast is like, hey, we're gonna talk about the Switch 2, upcoming Mario game, Zelda game, all this stuff. Hey, we want a Wind Waker 4K version or whatever. Then you have the PlayStation show where they're talking about upcoming games like Wolverine and Star Wars and stuff. And then you have the Xbox podcast where they're like, so did you play Bloodborne this week? Oh, let's get Phil Spencer on and let's talk about PlayStation. And I'd be like sitting there with my face in my hands, secondhand embarrassment. like, what are they doing? Like, no wonder a couple of these media outlets talk about their Xbox-centric shows getting less views. It's because they're not delivering things that the gamers want. Like, I used to watch Podcast Unlocked, and then I stopped. I stopped out 10 years ago, but clearly things haven't changed.
Yeah,
hell.
it would be like it'd be like a fan of a particular sports team. Like, if I'm obviously a Thunder guy. So, like, if I listen to a podcast made by people who absolutely hate the team and everybody associate with its guts or are always down talking it or trashing it, why would I listen to that as a fan of that team? Like, that makes no sense. So, like, for an Xbox centric podcast, I mean, you can be honest if things suck at a time
Yeah.
or need to be called out as egregious or bad, or there's something going on that needs to be discussed, but at least like the thing, have people who at least like the idea of it on there instead of like, okay, I'm going to begrudgingly talk about this. It's just, it kills the vibe immediately.
Yeah, I mean, look, IGN, they get dunked a lot, but it's deserved every time. And they're going to continue to do this stuff because it gets them views. People go to the website, see if the review's true. They get clicks. People go to their YouTube videos, listen to their videos, and they get clicks as well. But it's just terrible, awful journalism, awful content. But yeah, it was just funny to see everyone on Earth dunk on them, including KFC. You know what? We still have a bunch of topics left. We're about an hour into the show. If you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. I hate doing these little ads, but they actually do help with the algorithm. And the likes, surprisingly, do help with the algorithm as well. It's a bunch of internet wires and tubes under the ground, I'm guessing. But anyway, all that's live. Liking is appreciated. Super chats is appreciated if you want anything answered or whatnot. It all gets put back into the channel. Anyway, Logan, we still have about 10 topics left. So Assassin's Creed 4 Resynced is the worst kept secret in the video game industry. And AC4 is phenomenal. Love that game. It leaked about a year ago, and the name Resynced leaked about 6 months ago, and we've heard nothing since. And then some official artwork came out by Ubisoft about a month and a half ago, where they basically admitted that there's a game in development. And it came out the other day that Assassin's Creed Resynced is going to be shown off on the 23rd I think 5 p.m. UK time, so that'll be 12, I believe, Eastern. And now obviously I can't post any of these things, but like I've seen this game up in action, and I've seen a bunch of screenshots. Let me tell you, people are going to be happy.
Can you crouch?
So the crouching thing I didn't see, but
Oh man, the one thing.
yeah, so all the clips I saw featured people standing on rooftops or on a boat, so there was never a scenario where a person would have to crouch. So I'm just gonna guess that there's crouching, but the visuals alone, oh my god, like, so when it came out, it was a pretty game. Excuse me. When it was a pretty game when it came out, but it was also a cross-gen game. So if you played it on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, it had a more rich visual fidelity. You know, there was more foliage and stuff like that. Like the trees moved in the wind and stuff. This game, it's beautiful. It looks brighter than it did before. The lead actor that played Edward Kenway looks like the actor that played him, and that is the same actor that played Constantine in the DC TV universe, the Arrowverse. This game is beautiful. Looks so good. All the characters have way more detail. The world is far more brighter. I even saw footage of water simulated against a bunch of rocks, and the water just looked better. So like, is this a built from the ground up remake? I think to some extent it is, but they're still doing it 1-to-1. So I think like a Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Beautiful game. Yeah. So the Xbox One version of that, I think it was like 900p. And the Xbox One version, I really enjoyed at the time. Both versions, fun fact, are available on Xbox right now, so you can play the 360 version. But man, it's such a great Assassin's Creed game. Now, the funny thing is, what I did see in the trailer, there's no modern day footage at all, and I think that's for the best. Because when they got rid of the Desmond storyline, I think that's when the modern day stuff fell off a cliff. You went from doing third-person parkour in these interesting environments as Desmond to being in an office in first person. It was a weird misstep for the franchise, so not including that I think is perfectly fine. The game is going to include new quests, new characters, new activities, and apparently you can have a pet on top of your ship now. So you can have a choice between a cat and a monkey. Which, okay, cool. I'm obviously going to have a cat, but yeah, this game looks good, very good, and it's going to come out July 9th. So yeah, no, Logan, I'm guessing you didn't see the leak, but I know you're like a AC4, but what's your thoughts? Because we're going to see it on Thursday officially, but I think a lot of people are going to be happy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Assassin's Creed 4 is, again, the best pirate game ever made. It's awesome. Like, you could just take it out of Assassin's Creed universe and it would still be just awesome.
Yep.
So, I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see all the new textures and gameplay innovations that they've added, and hopefully they streamline some stuff too. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've mentioned it time and time again. The crouching thing. That is such a small thing that they could put into the gameplay that would make the stealth go from like a 2 to a 10, in my opinion. Playing a stealth game without crouch is a bit weird. But from what I saw, there's a bunch of other improvements, so I can't imagine why they wouldn't add that. But yeah, the game's gorgeous, removing the first person element from the modern day stuff and no more modern day stuff. And also, and this has been clarified behind the scenes, it's not an RPG. Assassin's Creed doesn't need to be an RPG, in my opinion. I know you have two groups of fans when it comes to Assassin's Creed. You have the long-time fans like me that prefer the, hey, go take out this target, have an interesting story, rather than, hey, here's these RPG mechanics in this open world. There's two different kinds of fans. I think it's perfectly fine, but like for me personally, I like the older games more. I thought the stories were better. I thought the characters were more interesting. And honestly, I think we went from having Assassin's Creed games set in open cities to having massively bloated open worlds filled with empty environments, like hills, just nature, right? I miss the cities of those games, but in Assassin's Creed 4, you sail in the high seas, and fighting other ships is so much fun. That looked a whole lot better in this game. It even looked like there were more pirates on the ships. I could be mistaken because I haven't played the fourth game in a while, but man, Assassin's Creed 4 fans, they're going to be in for a treat. And newcomers are going to eat this game up because, let me tell you, we don't have enough pirate-themed video games. It seems like a weird thing that we don't have, but hey, it is what it is. The game looks good.
Do you think they'll ever remake the first one?
I honestly don't know. I think with the first one, they'd have to add so much because, I'm the nerd with the Assassin's Creed Encyclopedia set. I'm not even joking. When they came out with Assassin's Creed 2, they did this whole like deep dive thing where they were showing off the different ways to assassinate targets, and the reason why people like myself at the time got super excited is because in the first game, you could only take out targets, I'm not even kidding, when you're standing right next to the target. That's it. Right? So, like, if they remade the first game, they'd have to put in a bunch of different gameplay elements from 2 onwards. Will they do that? I mean, maybe. If anything, I think they'll remake 2 because 2, I think, is arguably the most beloved. But we'll see how this turns out. Apparently, depending on how well this game sells, will determine whether they do more remakes.
Yeah, 2 makes sense to me. I was particularly fond of, Damascus and Jerusalem and, the Holy Land setting during Crusades kind of era. It was a vibe and I really enjoyed it, but also enjoyed the other ones too.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the first game. I loved the fact that each city had its own different color palette. Like Damascus had this blue sort of hue to it, which I loved. Like Jerusalem had this sort of like gray yellow thing going on, but it works. And like for the time, those games were insane when it came to the amount of people walking around. Like you didn't have that in any other game back then. Even in Grand Theft Auto, you didn't have like that many people in one area. If anything, if the game does well and they do more games, I think they kind of have to do the first one in general, just because, like, if you take I'm going to ramble a bit, but if you take Assassin's Creed Mirage's gameplay mechanics and put all that crap in the first game, I think you have a massive hit. I think the story of the first game is so interesting, and I think the stuff with Desmond in the first game is way more interesting because all that stuff takes place in a single office where he's trying to figure out what's going on between the Templars and stuff. But yeah, I'm an Assassin's Creed fan. I'm gonna buy it regardless. Remake 3. I don't care. I'll be there. And I do like 3 as well. I thought 3 was really good. But yeah, that's Assassin's Creed 4 Remake, and that's going to be shown off on Thursday. Let's see what we have now. You know what? Let's get into the big topics because this is actually, you know what? Before we get into the big topics, I want to talk about something quickly, and this is a particular reply I had last week. So one of the big topics we were talking about last week is Xbox exclusives coming back? And it's been a hot topic since this has been a thing for the past couple of weeks. And I want to read out this particular notification I got on YouTube. So I had a comment to last week's podcast, and I have to read this out. I won't name this person, but this person is clearly a fanboy, but I'll read this person's comment. He said, when Sony started putting their games on PC, you said it was a good thing. PlayStation players shouldn't be worried and nobody's taking away their games. And you, let me see. Yeah, and he basically said, like, I am a hypocrite because I said Microsoft should take their games away. Now, I feel like fanboys, they will hear what someone says, and then they'll make up their own little version just so they can be insulted or angry, right? In no way have I ever said Microsoft or Sony should pull away their games from PC. Ever. I think PC is a different thing. I think Microsoft and Sony should continue to put their games on PC. Because PC players want to play on PC. They want everything that you have on offer on PC, right? PC gamers feel limited on a console, right? So, like, to me, I don't think it's an either-or situation. I think you have PC gamers and you have console gamers, and there's people with both. But like, I don't think the sales of one hurt the other. But when it comes to exclusives on console, that's what I was talking about. Let me see. Okay, so big topic. We'll get to the big topic now. Xbox Game Pass had a price reduction today, and it kind of took the world by storm because Asher Sharma, the new head of Microsoft Gaming, basically said last week that they say Xbox Game Pass is too expensive. They need to do something about it. And when that came out, I was honestly expecting a couple of months before something changed. Maybe not even a price reduction, maybe something added to increase the value. Because typically companies don't really bring down the price of a service. They typically don't. And I didn't expect it within just a couple of weeks. So anyway, I'll list off the US price because I've got it here. So Xbox Game Pass is dropping down to, of course, the web page stalls. Okay, here we go. So the price is going from $29.99 a month to $22.99 a month. That's for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And PC Game Pass is going from $16.49 a month to $13.99 a month. In the UK, price is going down from, I think, $22.99 to $16.99. So the price going down is, in my opinion, the best news possible. And I'll get into that in a bit because there's a deeper thing going on here that most people aren't talking about. When the Game Pass price went up a couple of months ago, we were told, hey, you're going to get the exact same service you have now, but you also have the Fortnite Battle Pass thing, right? I personally don't play Fortnite at all, so I don't use the Battle Pass. I own almost every single Ubisoft game, so those extra few games added doesn't really benefit me. So all I was given was a higher price. Like, everyone's going to be different for everything. So for me, I was like, well, that's a bit crappy, and people can see my posts, they're public. I said it wasn't a good thing. Prices going up in general is never a good thing, and nor should it be celebrated. So I was kind of like, that's terrible, right? They need to bring down the price. So I made a post about this last year about how they need to bring down the price of Game Pass in general. And how do they do that? By removing Call of Duty. And from this year onwards, the existing Call of Duty games are going to stay there, but new titles won't be added day one. Now, people are all over the place with this. My stance has not changed. I think it's a good thing. Because when they raised the price of Game Pass, they priced people out. People told me that, hey, I love Game Pass Ultimate. I can't afford it at its current price. Right? And look, money's a very tricky thing at the minute. Most people don't have a lot of spare money. So, like, Game Pass going up when, like, gaming's your vice, your way to escape, and, like, they upped the price the way they did, it wasn't a good move. Like, in the UK, right, if you're buying a gift card for Game Pass now, before the price change, you're spending £30 a month on Game Pass. and £30 is roughly like I think it's $42 a month. So like we were getting absolutely screwed. Um, so like them bringing back the price isn't look removing Call of Duty isn't a good thing in general. I mean, but them bringing down the price is way more important. Because they price so many people out, and all the money you're going to save throughout that year, if you really want Call of Duty, you're going to be saving more money than you would be paying for COD outright. Uh, Now, Logan, this is a multifaceted issue which we're going to be talking about for a while. But like, what was your initial take on them dropping the price?
Well, first off, my first thought was, dang, that was fast.
Yeah,
Because I like you, I thought, okay, she's clearly assessing the situation. She's making quick turnarounds on feedback. Things have trickled out to the media outlets that are, no Xbox, and stuff starts getting reported, kind of gauge the temperature of the room a little bit out there, and see like generally positive reception to the idea. Like Windows Central and Jez, they had a poll that they ran, and 75% of people said, "Heck yeah, just yank COD out of there and lower the price if that's what it takes." Like they would be happy with that. That's an overwhelming majority, and just I know not everybody feels that way, but quite a few people do. So the fact that she did it in that quick a fashion, like a week or two after it gets kind of teased that they're thinking about it, is a great sign. It shows that she has her head on a swivel and she is quickly monitoring and adapting to the situation and going in there guns blazing, and a shaker and a mover, not a too many times in the past, it felt like Xbox was managed like a dreadnought ship, where it took you like forever to turn that thing around, or a pivot, or adjust to something going on. While some other entities were more like little skiffs and they could zip around and quickly adjust to a situation. And it feels like they have found a way to maybe cut through some tape or just have more streamlined communication, something that allows them to, snap, 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 get something done and approved rather than it have to go to a council or this to get something changed. So that's the first thought that comes to mind. And then after that, as far as Call of Duty itself, honestly, I'm happy with it. Like, would you rather have Call of Duty than not Call of Duty? Of course. Who doesn't want more games in their thing? But if I could choose saving $7 a month versus versus just waiting a year to, play through the campaign like I always do anyway, when I would wait till it was on a deep discount anyway to pick it up just to play the campaign, then yeah, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. So, and it sounds like if you read Jez's article he just had today after the news went live, is that they are working on a choose your own plan, a build a bear
yeah,
plan, like we talked about last time. They are working on that. So, hypothetically, there is a way where you and I and the people who don't play Fortnite or certain things can maybe take those out and lower the cost even more, or replace them, swap them out for something else. So, they're clearly listening. It's good. You'd rather not lose a feature, obviously, but at the end of the day, the money is way better. Like almost $100 a year saved by just taking it out. So to me, that's a big deal. So I'm happy with it. I'm glad they're quickly implementing things. I'm looking forward to the Build a Bear idea, seeing exactly how it comes out in fruition, and just more positive and quick reaction.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned the Build-A-Bear thing. Like, ideally, for me, I would remove the. For me personally, I would remove the Ubisoft stuff and the Fortnite Battle Pass, and add Call of
Same.
Duty.
Mhm.
Because again,
That's what I'd do.
I own basically every Ubisoft game. And I don't play Fortnite. But them bringing down the price is the big thing, because like people are going to be arguing back and forth about like, oh, they're removing a game. Like, and the big one I've seen today is, are they opening up Pandora's box? I don't think people have to worry about that. Call of Duty is the biggest game on earth when it comes to like releases every year when GTA is not a thing, right? So like if you them and like those games print money, and there's a lot of people that buy those games and that get into the microtransactions and the battle passes and stuff, like there had to have been some weird number we don't know about. But like when it comes to the single player games that are in Game Pass, I don't think it's a problem. And look at me for COD, for instance, right? I don't play multiplayer, so like, would I be paying $70 for a Call of Duty game just to play the 6 hour campaign? Like, I'm not doing that, right? So playing it in Game Pass was ideal. However, and as you were saying before, like playing it later isn't really going to be an issue. you know, I think a lot of people that only do the campaign won't mind waiting or getting on sale. Call of Duty sales happen all the time in the UK. I'm guessing it's the same in the US. So like, I think it's fine, but the price going down is the big one, because like subscription services going down, it never happens. I can't remember the last time that happened in a world where everything's going up in price. RAM costs hundreds of dollars. GPUs are way up in price. CPUs are way up in price. Hard drives are going up in price. And then you have a subscription service going down. I will take that as a win, right? A win for the wallet. And also, the big thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is that this thing is better on so many levels that I don't think people realize. This is a sign that they actually listening and actually doing things about it, right? I think Phil Spencer, he saved Xbox in 2014, right? Took the Kinect out of the box, eventually got backwards compatibility working, which is the best feature in my opinion. But like, Xbox for the past couple of years, in my opinion, they've been coasting by. Right? Every piece of news we've heard from Xbox over the past couple of years, them having to confirm that yes, the console is in development, but outside of game releases, what has there been in, like, news wise in the Xbox space? Right? Nothing really positive. Right? It's always been port news or Game Pass going up. Right? There's been no Xbox news. And what happened straight away when Asher Sharma took the top spot, right? We get most wanted features on Xbox straight away, right? So like, people have been wanting these features for years when it comes to achievements and quick resume, and they get to work on them straight away. And then they get a new team in place to listen to feedback and make features for fans. They have a dedicated features team now, right? And they got that straight away from the new, head of Microsoft Gaming. There seems to be a very high focus on Xbox console now. And that's been my biggest thing for the past couple of years. It's not the exclusive thing. It's been the fact that every single time someone from Microsoft talks about gaming, it's been PC, streaming, handheld, PC, portable streaming, ecosystem, right? No Xbox console, right? Yeah, they've confirmed Xbox console a bunch of times, which is great. But there's been no Xbox console news for ages. And then it came out the other day that this feature we were talking about 5 years ago is finally coming to Xbox. And that's Fidelity FX Super Resolution. Right? We were told about this feature in 2021, and we are finally getting it. Why? Because in my opinion, there's more of a concentration on the console hardware now. Right? Because most of Xbox players are on console. And I think that's where they've realized, hey, we're going to put our time and money where these players are. yeah, you're gonna have people on PC, which is great, but like it's the console players that are bringing in the most money. So all these things I'm seeing at the minute, including bringing down Game Pass price, that is a hell of a good sign. Now, Logan, I've talked about the whole coast and buy thing before, but do I make any sense, or am I just rambling?
No, I agree. There was a total vibe shift. Like, not to get too nitpicky about previous regime stuff, but it had gotten to a point where it went from super collaborative with the community and super outgaging and talking with the community about all kinds of stuff, meetups, group things, fan fest, panels, trivia things, all kinds of stuff, to MIA on social media. And probably because they made decisions they knew people wouldn't like and didn't want to cop the heat for it, would be my guess. But basically MIA from social medias, and that, they did platform changes, and then they were incredibly slow to react to anything
Yeah.
negative or anything in general. Like, it's like hair is a great point to pivot to do anything, and then they were just slow as an iceberg about it. But I'm just glad that the new energy is just rapid fire, just quick, confirm or deny and move along. Like last night, this is probably a topic, but there was someone being scoundrel online and saying stuff about, console and how it was going to be this way or that, the helix and chips and this and that. And then Jason Ronald himself appeared like a wizard, snap of his fingers, and said, "No, that's actually a first party device. We're building it ourselves." And then walks away.
Yeah.
Like the guy in Sailor Moon. He's just poof, he's gone. And it just, I love this energy. It's like they're finally, instead of letting something simmer for weeks or months and then have a panic, okay, we have to have this super awkward and cringe business meeting
Yeah.
where we're sitting up here look like we're being tried by a tribunal and talking, nobody wants to be there, and then we say a bunch of stuff, and then it ends up not being fully accurate a few months later. We're just gonna immediately nip this in the bud right now. And I can't tell you just how much more strength and confidence that exudes for a brand and gives the fans to have in the brand and the products and the people running the company when you see somebody who's easily like, that's a bunch of bull. Like, you just get out of here. Instead of just hiding and nobody knows and it runs like rampant wildfire. Just even that alone is such a big welcome change.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned the coast and buy thing, but like I really mean it. Like I love the games that they're coming out with now, right? Xbox lineup is like way amazing now, right? Where they have like a big game coming out every other month, right? Which is I'm reaping the rewards. I'm getting these really cool games, but like at the same time, like on the side of Xbox, there's been nothing to talk about when it comes to like features being added. Nothing, right? It feels like they just stopped, right? Um, for people that have been following for a while, like when I did the quote unquote channel reboot in 2019, when the Xbox Series X was announced, all the way through 2020, I was making videos almost every single week about Xbox features that are coming with the new console. Stuff about software, hardware, and stuff, right? Every single week. And then in 2021, I did the same thing. In fact, I made more videos that year about upcoming features and stuff, right? And then I noticed at some point in 2022 that there was this kind of weird shift where we weren't getting any more news about the console or upcoming features. It just seemed like everything went flat, but we were getting more games, higher quality games, but like that was in a weird time where Game Pass was slowly going up in price, hardware was going up in price over time, and like there wasn't really anything to talk about when it came to the Xbox brand outside of its games. And like the games are great and the focus, but like Xbox wasn't getting any added features, even though people were screaming for certain features, like the ability to hide certain achievements, the ability to turn off quick resume for certain games, right? Right, these much wanted features, and then now they're clearly listening, and rather than like just speaking on things and giving us words, they're acting on it, right? That should be the big takeaway for people. They're actually acting on these things, right? Not making us wait for months. And like you said, like Jason Ronald didn't have to reply to this fanboy on Twitter, but he did. The people that work at Microsoft right now, they seem more energized, right? The people that work on the Xbox side, they seem more excited about Xbox. You have Stein on Twitter actually clapping back to Jeff Keighley and whatnot, right? Which you wouldn't have
That
seen.
was great. Is
Yeah,
this 1440p? What is this?
yeah, and that's happened a couple of times now, and it's been a glaring issue for years, and now I'm not getting that impression at all. They're listening to feedback. They're giving us much wanted features. There is a completely different vibe at Xbox now, and I'm excited about the future of Xbox now when it comes to the feature sets, things we're gonna get, and yeah, the elephant in the room is the exclusive thing. Because you have things like Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty is always going to be multi-platform. You have smaller games like Kiln and stuff, which I think is completely fine being multi-platform. But like the big elephant in the room, Gears of War ED, right? Fable, right? Halo, that type of thing, Forza. Like these games are the reason, right? And I've seen people mention this on Twitter, and they're a perfect good point, right? Xbox making these games exclusive all of a sudden wouldn't fix the problem. However, it's a bloody good start because the reason you buy into Xbox is for its games. Like if you're on PC, you have the best rig possible for you, right? You're not going to buy a console, so the games go on there perfectly fine, in my opinion. But like if you're in the console space, you need to offer exclusives. I'll give them more of a reason to buy into the hardware. And I think there's a bunch of reasons to get into Xbox hardware. You have like backwards compatibility. There is the feature set when it comes to quick resume. But like, it's the games, right? Some people have told me that, but Game Pass is the exclusive. And I get that. Game Pass is a hell of a reason to get into Xbox, right? I think that there's a lot of people that will buy into Xbox and already have for Game Pass. But like in a world where the console player base has not grown outside of 200 million for 20 years, right? That number isn't getting any bigger. So they need to sell their consoles to existing gamers, not new imaginary gamers, but existing gamers that prefer console. And they do that in bulk by offering games. And in a time when they have a ton of exclusives coming out or first party games, like that's the best time to do it. And Logan, you've probably seen this on Twitter. Exclusives didn't work in the past. I think that is the wrong way to look at it because Xbox really didn't start doing exclusives, or should I say, like really good first party games until Starfield came out, right? They had great titles in the past, but critically acclaimed games and just games that had positive talk. It's funny that I'm using Starfield in that conversation because you've seen my replies, but it feels like there was a very big shift from first party after Starfield came out. You had your Indiana Joneses and stuff, right? Quality for first party games went up after 2024, halfway through 2024. And I think Xbox, they've learned these lessons, and now they're at a point where, hey, they have enough games to actually market their console. Because if you look at the advertising for Nintendo, right? Yeah, if you look at Nintendo, right, they market their Switch 2 with games, right? If you look at PlayStation, they announce they advertise their games their consoles with upcoming games, right? So you'll have like Wolverine and Soros and stuff. If you look at Microsoft, if you are lucky enough to even see a console trailer, they just market as true 4K, HDR, 120 FPS, and it also has Game Pass. It feels like they're not even marketing the games for the console. It's just they're coasting by. And I feel like, look, they're making all these great steps, fixing the Game Pass price, right? Giving us features. And actually, and they start hiring, by the way, for a brand. What was it, Logan? Brand and reputation division?
Yes, they are hiring for a senior manager of brand and reputation.
And to me, that goes to show that they're actually listening, because how many times do you, like you mentioned, there's a rumor that will pop up in the Xbox fandom and people will run with it. Someone will make a Reddit page. People from Twitter will overreact, copy that link, start panicking about it, and then they will start saying, "Oh, I heard Xbox is doing this." And then people will make videos on it. Then you have IGN and other media outlets that will make clickbait on this story. And then 2 weeks will pass, and then people from Microsoft will put out a public statement saying, "By the way, this isn't happening." So in that past 2 weeks, you'll have had people freak out, as we've seen before, and where they could have just completely, not had that at all, right? Why does Xbox have to be the only console where that happens? Like, Xbox actually has a roadmap, right? We actually have like a next gen console that's pretty much been announced, but like people are panicking all the time. People want to know, hey, am I still going to get third party games in this box? Like, people in a constant state of being worried, even though they're like 40 million consoles sold, and they're going to be fine. But people are worried. If you have people actually going out there clapping back at these journalists online that are making this clickbait content, saying, hey, this isn't true, immediately you stop this stuff getting out of hand. To me, it looks like they're going to do that. And I think that this is Asha Sharma proving that they're listening. And this is a good beginning, because they've done all this stuff in a month. When people have been wanting these features for years. People have been wanting Xbox to, excuse me, they want Xbox to clap back at all this stuff for years, and they haven't. But now we're seeing change. And fundamentally, like, you don't get new leadership to just do the same thing, right? That's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting change, right? But what we're seeing now is change. So, like, were people at Xbox, like the high up execs, resting on their laurels for the past couple of years, thinking, because we've heard it before, right? Xbox doesn't care about console sales. One, that's not true. People like to push that for some reason. Microsoft is not a non-profit organization. But like, people from Xbox, like their executives, shall say, we haven't seen any want to compete. And that's the vibe I'm getting for this past month. But like, look, it's a good beginning. Like the price thing should be a very telling thing to people. So will they start doing exclusives now? What about things like Elder Scrolls 6, the Blade game, stuff like that? Because in a world where, if you're a casual gamer that only plays Fortnite and only plays, a Madden or an NBA 2K, a lot of those people mainly own PlayStations now, because every generation there's one console that becomes the casual's favorite. It was the 360 during the 7th gen, it was the PlayStation 4 last gen, and now it's the PlayStation 5, where you'll have these like normies, they'll pick up a PlayStation just to play Fortnite. It's perfectly fine. That's just where those gamers are. Microsoft needs to sell their hardware to people that play single player games, and you do that by making exclusives. Like I said before, there's always going to be more reasons to buy into a console, but I think if they are going to correct the course of the ship, they have to do this one more thing. And once they do that, market the console. Yeah, they can have the little HDR logo on the box. They can have the little 4K, logo on the box the Xbox Series X comes in. But say, hey, your console can also play 3 previous generations of Xbox games. Right? 360 games. Have a little picture of Call of Duty Black Ops and Red Dead Redemption 1 or whatever. Just big 360 games. OG Xbox games on there as well. And the fact that you have upgrades for these games. You can play a binary domain at 60 FPS. Crazy, right? They need to market this stuff. And as of right now, in the UK at least, I don't see marketing for the hardware. That's something they really need to fix. They have more Japanese content on Xbox more than ever, partnering up with these Japanese companies. Like, look, can you imagine the reaction if Microsoft just made a partnership with Square Enix just to have Final Fantasy VII Part 3 shown on the Xbox stage?
That would be a very, very strong sign of a renewed strength and better position.
Because they've had competition for years that's willing to pay to keep games off the platform, right? We need to see Microsoft make bold moves, and I think we'll actually see some of these things. So, like, to me, these are very good things to look at when it comes to Microsoft. Because, look, as a person that covers Xbox, I love talking about upcoming games because I just like covering upcoming games a lot. But, like, when it comes to Xbox outside of the game releases, there hasn't really been anything to talk about. There's people that will make endless clickbait about will the console exist next gen. I refuse to make that content, but like that's all people concentrate on at the minute. Next gen Xbox, will it be a thing? It's not going to be a thing, and it's all doom and gloom from there. But Xbox has a strong first party lineup, right? They're listening to feedback now, and this is a very good start because honestly, I see a lot of excitement about Forza at the minute. But imagine the talk about Forza if it was an exclusive game. Right? I think this is probably going to be the best selling Forza game of all time. Forza Horizon 5 had 40 million players before it went to PlayStation. So people clearly play Xbox first party games on Xbox and PC, right? But wouldn't it be amazing if they could come out later this year and say, hey, Gears of War ED, exclusive, Fable, exclusive. They would have a lot of eyes on them. And you'd have people that would maybe only have one console think, maybe that's enough games for me to get a different console or a secondary console. Now, the funny thing is, people have brought up to me that they can't remove these games from being multi-platform because of the logos and the fact that they're available to wishlist. I think that's nonsense. If Project Eve can get announced for Xbox and then they pull the trailer and pay for that game to be exclusive, then why can't Microsoft make their own games exclusive? Nobody can tell me that. So, Logan, after everything we've talked about, do you think they'll go back to exclusives considering what we're seeing?
Yes, but it's a double-edged sword, kind of with a twist, middle ground, I think. I think they will not go full bore exclusives like some want. But they won't stay full multi-plat like the Wavy Gravies want. I think they will go a middle ground approach, and this is where you and I differ on this. You feel that Forza would be best suited as exclusive, and I agree that I think it would be awesome as an exclusive, but I understand that title as one of a few exceptions because of the reach, the scale, multiplayer focused, and just the sheer numbers and revenue and stuff you can get from that game coming in that you can use to fund and help buoy some of your single player games. Like if they would have the balls to make it exclusive, that'd be awesome and I would love that. I think that might be a rung too high on the ladder for them to go. Like personally, I think they might balk at that. Like if they since they no longer have the 30%, Headman's Axe budget restraints that they have to face now, that maybe they can, give businesses give and take. So maybe there's a way that they can have that one stay multi-plat and some other stuff stay multi-plat and be allowed to rein in and make some quote, core Trinity or, your Scarlet Letter, whatever name you want to give to games that are like the soul of Xbox. And I know again, like you and I differ on if Forza is considered that or not. Like I know it is Xbox associated and Xbox brand, but to me, sport cars and SUVs and stuff are just something that's out there, and that there are racing games all over the place, but there's not like a core story or characters or worlds or gameplay in it that is so iconic and so just Xbox and brand associated to where it just can't leave. To me, that's Halo, that's Gears, that's Fable, you know, maybe Hellblade could someday be that, stuff like that. Like, again, it's a difference of opinion, but to me, I think keep those keep those Xbox exclusive. Cancel them ports. Bleep them ports. Just cancel those ports. Um, Throw them into the Mariana Trench. Incinerate them. Do whatever. Pay the fines and keep those exclusive, because what amount of copies you sell on those, I almost guarantee you, does not match or come close to the amount of brand damage and reputational hit you're taking by making them multi-plat. You're literally taking a little, that the expression about like, man, every time I see this, a little part of me dies, or a little part of my soul,
Yeah.
like this or that. It is like that for that brand and for the fans. Like their identity feels darkened and dimmed every time that happens. There's a reason there were so many memes out there that we can't even describe on this channel as a family channel, and other things out there about how people were viewing Xbox and their decisions about multi-plat. So it bottom line is, I think they will go middle ground, and there will be exclusives and there will be multi-plat games, and it'll be up to them to decide a case by case basis or a category, like unequivocally this every year or every few years you expect will go everywhere, and these under no circumstances will leave Xbox and PC for the well actually folks. So Xbox and PC exclusive versus going to PlayStation. So bottom line, that's what I think they'll do, and that's what I would do personally. But again, it depends on how much leeway they're truly given and how much, how bold they want to be. Like, I love a nice guy company. It's great, and you should strive to have that, but there are also times you got to look after yourself a bit, and I think Xbox had gotten to the point where they were too far on the kumbaya Kool-Aid train, that they turned into a marshmallow and were getting stomped on and pulled apart and stepped on and all kinds of stuff, and nobody took them seriously. And you know, like, would you rather be loved or feared? When you're competing, you probably rather be feared than loved. But that's just my guess.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again because I just like it just got me thinking, like, how they put the logos in the trailers now.
It
Um
just absolutely unacceptable. Like that and wearing a PlayStation shirt when you're talking about Halo, which should never happen to begin with. But yes.
yeah, it's like it's not Microsoft's job to market other platforms. get rid of the logo. Like, yes, it's nice. People can see what platforms the game's on. Cool. Nice. However, it's just not a good look. You know, like you said, certain things I can't say on the channel, but it's just not a good look. And it reminds me of this episode of The Simpsons where I think Ned Flanders gets Homer's recipe or something, and Homer's mad about it, and Marge says you shouldn't be so upset because you're making people happy, right? And Homer has this complete crash out where he's like, "Oh, look at me! I'm making people happy. I'm the magical man from Happy Land in a gumdrop house on Lollipop Lane," right? And that stuck with me. I'm thinking that's Xbox at the minute. Yeah, it's all nice. We're all wavy gravy, and let's be all friends. Where you have Sony that are being cutthroat, ruthless, like wanting to pay to keep games off the platform. Oh, it was more. Okay. It's been a long time since I watched that episode of The Simpsons. Back when Simpsons was peak, but like that's what I thought, right? And like that is literally the Xbox situation at the minute. Like, yeah, you tune it. Like, look, every time I post about an upcoming game on social media, look at the replies, right? Every time I say it, like, hey, Fable, Forza, any of that, you have these replies going, can't wait to play this on PlayStation 5 Pro. These same people don't do that under regular third-party titles. And it's all an optics thing at the minute. And the optics around Xbox is... Yeah, oh yeah, that clip was sent to us last week. But it stuck with me for years, that clip from The Simpsons, because it's so spot on. And, like, Xbox at the minute, like, cool, you're letting people know what games these platforms are on. But, like, you shouldn't be marketing other people's platforms. You will never see an Xbox logo or in a PlayStation trailer or a Nintendo trailer. So why do their work for you? Or anything like that. It doesn't make any sense. And, like, I'll never get over the fact that the one more thing at the Gamescom 2024 was not a new game, not a new mode, not a new studio announced. It was the fact that the PlayStation 5 version was announced for Indiana Jones. That was the one
That
more thing.
wasn't one of the 4 games, Jamie.
Yeah. Oh, and look, the messaging thing. Let's be honest, right? The messaging at Xbox for the past 3 years has been terrible. It's been bad. Like we were told 4 games are going to be, and look, people like to pick apart what I was talking about last week. Microsoft didn't technically say that Indiana Jones and Starfield were not those 4 games. They didn't necessarily say they will never be multi-platform, but it's all about, like, if you have a public business podcast to tell people, hey, you're making next-gen hardware, and try and calm people down on the exclusive situation, the fact that all those things that they said was meticulously worded in a way where you can pick them apart is a problem, right? If you look at PlayStation, right, you have the baseball game that's multi-platform, you have Helldivers and Marathon, right? So their live service games clearly can be multi-platform, right? And I've said in the past that I think it would be cool if some of their games, like the older titles, like I even think with Xbox, even older Xbox titles could be multi-platform. But, like, your brand new Fable game, your brand new Gears of War game, is that a good look, And we also have to look at, like, how much are these ports costing? And like what you said, Logan, like, how much are these ports costing? How much money are they making? Does that money offset the amount of damage the brands had? Because it's clear Xbox has problems and they're slowly fixing things. And if they can do that with Game Pass, if they can do that with features and the box itself, they can do it with the game situation. And who knows? Who knows, Logan? Maybe at the game showcase they have this summer, maybe they do start using the word exclusive. Maybe that'll happen,
Man,
because
if I saw that yellow badge again, I would be so happy.
yeah, like, I think if they came out on stage, and I'm guessing that's going to be Asher Sharma's first like games showcase type thing. Um, like, can you imagine the reaction if, hey, this game, Gears of War ED, is exclusive, or just something like that, right? Going back to exclusives, because that little yellow marker on the box used to mean something. And Nintendo basically do the same thing, Sony do the same thing. But like, if you have the best first party lineup of the year, and sometimes you have 11 first party games coming out, and the fact that you can't advertise that huge list as an exclusive lineup, that's a problem. Um, but we'll have to see what happens, because things are changing at Xbox quick, very quick, and it's only been a month, and that's such a good sign. Like, a whole month, and all this stuff's changed. And as someone that's like, I'm an optimist, right? Clearly, and I cover Xbox. I prefer Xbox, but like the fact that all these changes have happened in a month, that's just a really good sign. Excuse me, really good sign. I'm actually choking. I've been talking so much.
Hey, can I, while you're getting your throat
Yeah,
figured
yeah.
out, could I recircle back to the idea of exclusives? Like some say it didn't work.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, like to me, like I understand the point, but I also, and I agree to a point, it wasn't working the way they were doing it. But I think it would have worked if they had just waited a little bit longer. And they got Bethesda, they finally got Activision after years of legal fights. They had the game cadence was finally starting to come out at a good pace, a good clip, after years of, oh, just wait till next year. We bought these studios, they're still cooking, they're still working. When people just had to realize that they bought all these indie studios, that lots of them were decently small sized, some of them were bigger than others, but they had to upscale them, like basically in sports, like you're getting promoted from the minors to the major league. Like this is a whole different world you're in now. And so you have to gear up talent wise, resource wise, manpower wise, to level up your game, pun intended, and make AAA type stuff when you were used to AA type stuff, and that took a while. And so it felt like they never really gave their teams or the Xbox organization itself a chance to fully implement the vision that was in place. Like, in an alternate timeline, like where they didn't do the colossally short sighted decision to make things multi platform, that they had just held out a little bit longer and like had last year as fully exclusive or this year as fully exclusive, I think it would have made a difference. But instead, they were trying exclusives at a time where it was almost like World War One, where you have like the introduction of modern technology in weapons and stuff into warfare that completely changed everything for some people, to where you've got some of these countries where literally had cavalry units were going up against mounted turrets and tanks, and you can imagine how that didn't go well. And it was like that. It's like they finally got upscaled reinforcements and tools and technology and manpower to go forward, and they just didn't do it. They just weren't patient enough. And so to me, I think it could work now that they have a fully armed and operational battle station ready to go. They've got their Roman Empire, their Death Star, their whatever omni powerful entity thing you want to use as an example. They have that. It's time to actually use it instead of going, oh well, we've all kissed and made up and sang kumbaya at the campfire, and it's too late now. Can't put that back in the bottle, guys. Isn't that right? Like, no, you can totally fix this if you want to. Just do it. Be Nike. Just do it.
Yeah, I think it's you're gonna have these people of the, and I hope people listening really keep an eye out for this. Over the next couple of days, specifically, you're gonna see a bunch of people come out of the woodwork and say, do the whole kumbaya thing. How Xbox, they're making all these changes, but they should keep doing multi-platform things, right? These people will never, and I mean never, go into detail about how it benefits Xbox long term. Never. Right? You know, yeah, they're gonna make more money short term, but not as much as you think. And what damage does it do to the brand? They'll never answer those questions because to these people, Xbox doesn't care about console sales, which again, Microsoft isn't a non-profit organization, right? They make hardware, they do services, they make games. Um, they clearly have to do some more changes, but like I said, it's a good start. And again, it just makes me wonder, what have they been doing for 2 years? Why haven't we had these features the whole time? You know, look,
It's a
the
good question, Jamie. One I wish I could answer. It's a
like
good question.
Xbox Series X and S have been out since November 2020, and people have been wanting the ability to turn off quick resume because there's multiplayer stuff since November 2020. So why is it taken for new leadership 6 years later to make that happen? Big glaring issue. Why is it taking 5 years for Xbox Super Resolution? And bear in mind, I get it, that's an AMD thing. It might not have anything to do with Asher Sharma, so I'll put that on the sideline a bit. But the features thing alone and Game Pass, right? Realistically, when we've talked about this, we've never really thought they would bring down the price of Game Pass. Not really. A lot of people message me saying these companies will never reduce the price of these services because they always think they're right. And that's a big thing with corporations. Corporations, including governments, do not like to admit when they're wrong. And reducing the price is an admission of being wrong. So to me, I love what I'm seeing. Yes, beforehand I had all these cool games coming, but now I have a platform. I can clearly see that they want console gamers and a console focus again, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Um, and I think that I see the PC stuff Sony brought up basically every time exclusives gets brought up. As far as I know, PlayStation was still hiring for PC stuff. And as I said before, I don't think PC stuff interferes with the exclusivity thing. Look, I've talked about this. Are you like me? Do you think PC stuff is still fine?
PC doesn't bother me one flying flip.
Mm.
I remember some people lost their bloody minds
Yeah.
when Quantum Break was announced for PC. I remember, and just I remember even Phil Spencer was like, "Dude, you gotta chill." All right, and that never bothered me because PC is PC anyway. They have everything, and they're like, what do you expect if some guy wants to spend 4 grand powering up some megalithic rig to play all this crap? Then power to them. Let them have the games. I do not care. The only thing I cared about personally as an Xbox focused person was that PlayStation is your main competition. Nintendo kind of, I mean, less so, but yeah. But PlayStation mainly. If you were ever to put your games on other platforms, I mean, obviously I wouldn't do it, but Nintendo would still feel less bad than putting it on PlayStation itself, to
Yeah.
me personally. If you had to choose and you couldn't go full exclusive, but and they're like, well, we have to put it somewhere. I'm like, okay, fine, put it on Switch if you had to. But I would just keep it exclusive. But PlayStation is like their number one rival. You should under no circumstances being, pumping up and, promoting and empowering your rival to go around and take money and games you're giving them and use them to literally beat you on the head with a shovel about stuff. It is ridiculous. And if Asha and Jason and the team are listening for various hardware stuff and sales stuff, please put backwards compatibility on the actual box and
Yeah.
like have some displays like you said, and like bring back the ability to, link to Twitter directly from the console. Like I remember being able to tweet from my Xbox or like post footage directly like that, like snap of a finger. Like those are small things, but they go a long way. Like I can't tell you how embarrassing it was to go to a game store and they didn't know that the Xbox could play older stuff. And I'm like, seriously, you're an employee at a game store. How do you not know that? And yeah, it's just advertise what the console does. You want to sell it, you should tell what it actually does.
Yeah. I mean, I like to bring it up at every opportunity because it is like, if you buy a phone, right? If you buy like an iPhone, right? What does it show you in the box, right? It shows you a picture of the phone. It comes in a sleek box and it's designed to look sleek. This thing's going to be in your hand for like 3 years, right? So they
Hmm.
want to present it to its best possible ability. And if you have a console you buy it to play games, right? I look, shocker, I'm going to bring up the 7th gen. But like I miss when video game boxes had like, it showed you the picture of the console on the front. It told you the storage, and on the back it showed you a bunch of features the console could do, and also a bunch of games that you could play on it. Right?
Yeah, or characters from it. Like
Yeah,
I remember the OG Xbox had Bastilishan, it had like Master Chief, Ryu from Ninja Gaiden, like a Madden character, football guy, generic guy, all kinds of stuff.
yeah, and like now that isn't much of a thing. It's like they advertise these consoles as these high end devices, right? Uh, Obviously, this is a bit like this might be nitpicking, but like I just want them to go. But honestly, all they have to do is just copy the 360 playbook. Just honestly,
I
to
mean, it worked pretty well, just saying.
and to be frank, I would like it if they actually went back to that color scheme for the logos. You know,
Oh, yes. Or if they went back to OG Xbox, OG or 360 logo, vibes. I mean, maybe throw Peter Moore a life raft, drag him
yeah.
out here with a new tattoo for something. Like, do something.
Do you know? Right, I know Asha Sharma might not listen to this, but hear me out, right? Get Peter Moore to show up to this summer showcase in June and show off a new tattoo that says exclusives.
Oh my gosh, that is such a mic drop. I never would have. I have ascended to a higher plane.
Like
It's
that
such a great idea.
that will never happen, but wouldn't it be such a funny way to do it?
He just rips off his shirt and he has this massive tattoo.
I mean, hey, if they want to get my confidence back on board for exclusives, that'd be one way to do it. And who doesn't love Peter Moore? He did so much for Xbox that I don't think most people understand. Um, Going into Steve Ballmer's office and telling him that it's going to cost $2 billion to fix the 360 situation. Baller move. Like,
Yeah, that would not have been an easy conversation. Imagine going to your boss and say, "Hey, we bleeped up and I need 2 billion to fix it."
God. By the way, alternate universe. Can you imagine what Xbox would be like right now if Steve Ballmer was still in charge of Microsoft?
Man, that's a good question. I have no idea. There would be a lot of differences. I know that.
But hey, I like these moves that they're doing. It's a good start, and who knows? Maybe by this time next week there'll be more changes. We'll see. But I will say this: if they do go back to the exclusive thing, I 100% think they'll wait till the summer showcase. I don't think it's going to be a random announcement on a Wednesday afternoon. Like I think they'll make it like a worldwide known thing. Hey, you have 100,000 people watching your show. Okay, for some reason my webpage has crashed. I don't know if people can still hear me. Okay, I think it's working now. For some reason, OBS just completely lost the plot. But yeah, I think Microsoft will make these changes and more changes over time. But hey, we'll see what happens. Logan, have you got anything else to say before we close out the show?
Just my shameless plug for more backwards compatibility for the 25th anniversary. That would be very nice. Good idea. Fan feedback. Put that on the box for the consoles. Like, show what it can actually do. Bring back Twitter implementation for the console would be really helpful. And just stay positive. Bring back exclusives and show a competitive spine. That would probably be my number one message. Like, all the goodwill stuff helps, and it's really good, and it's what we want. But also, at the end of the day, you got to show some strength and some grit. And for too long, Xbox has been kind of marshmallowy. Show some spine.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But the thing is, I keep mentioning the coast and buy thing, and just like the more I think about it, the more I think I'm right. like, because I haven't seen any big moves made over the past 2 years, and like when they start doing the multi-platform thing, like remember how all these like executives and just like people from Xbox would talk to the fans? It felt like that stopped 2 years ago.
Yep, they went into their bat cave and they tried to hide out the storm from the backlash, and the silence got really, really loud.
And now they're interacting with people more. So like things have changed, and I know people will like some people will look at it what we say in the wrong way and think, oh, this is bashing Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond. It's like no, they did a lot, but like it's crystal clear things are changing quick.
It was just an honest assessment. I liked what they did for the most part, and they did a lot more good than positive or than negative for the brand. But there were some decisions at the end that did not help the brand.
Yeah. But hey, who knows what will happen by next Tuesday. Now, everyone in chat has been amazing once again. We still actually have a couple of topics left, but we'll save them till next week. Logan, it's been great talking with you once again. Our ats are in the comments down below. We do Twitter. The link to my last video, the 20 biggest new games coming to Xbox in April, that's also in the description down below. Most of those games are still yet to release. April is a back-heavy month, and there's some really cool titles coming out. If everything goes according to plan, I should have 2 videos out by next Tuesday. So hope people pay attention to them. Been working on some of these for a very long time. Anyway, hope to see you next week on All Things Xbox Podcast. New episode next Tuesday on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. And again, I should have hopefully 2 videos out by next Tuesday. And I hope everyone enjoys them as well. These videos take, unfortunately, a long time to make. Anyway, we're out, everybody.